Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Jan here. In response to a few people that have asked me how I go about making these tags and expanding tags and pockets like this one, I've decided to do this little video. So this is obviously the pocket, and this is my expanding tag. I certainly don't claim for it to be my own design. There are loads and loads of them on YouTube, how to do them. The only thing I suppose that's different is that I can give you the measurements that I've used. So this is going in my sort of autumn folio thing that I'm doing. Okay, so this is the tag. And as you see, I've tied it together. I keep it together with a piece of ribbon. And then when you open it up, it goes into expanding pockets like this. And in this one, there are, let me just unstick that one. It's got caught up. Don't know how that's managed to happen. There we go. Okay, so it expands like that. And in this one, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pockets. I find that's probably about the optimum amount of pockets because of the size of the gusset, and that's the gusset there, and for it to fit inside this box. But by all means, make your own size. I suggest that you kind of make one of these first to my measurements, and you can see how it's done, and then you can make your own adaptations. So you can make them much bigger, you can make them wider, taller, thicker if you want to, although it'd be hard to put them on a journal page, I think, but they might go on the front of a journal cover if you wanted to make them bigger and thicker. I probably wouldn't go much smaller, maybe an inch smaller, but I wouldn't go much smaller than that. The pockets, I think, are a really good size, and you can put all sorts of ephemera in them. That's what I tend to do. So if I'm sending them out, I've got loads of little bits and pieces like this, or little tags that will fit in there. Just little tiny bits and pieces, maybe a few buttons, some sequins, maybe a bit of ribbon, all sorts of things like that. Now, I know that people on the internet, and I think where it started out from, was people make these as tea bag holders, in which case you would need to make it a little bit wider in order to fit a tea bag. But once you've made this one, you'll know sort of how to alter it. And I think, as I say, you just need them about ½ an inch or 3/4 of an inch wider, and then people might make them with 2 or 3 pockets and give them away as gifts to friends or something like that, which is, like a really nice idea. But as I say, I like to put my ephemera in these, and not ephemera, other embellishments. Good grief, I can't speak today. Other embellishments in here. I'm trying to, actually, talking about that, I'm trying to be clear when I'm speaking about the difference between ephemera and embellishments, because I know it gets confused a lot, and I actually see things advertised for sale commercially as as ephemera, when in actual fact they're embellishments. So for me, and I don't know if you're the same, but my understanding is that embellishments are anything that you add to what you're doing. Like, supposing I wanted to stick this butterfly on here, that would be an embellishment, because I'm embellishing the item. If I wanted to put this on a journal page, it would be an embellishment. If, however, in these little pockets that I've just showed you open, supposing I went on a day trip or somewhere and I wanted to remember that day trip, and it involved me having a train ticket and maybe a ticket to the cinema and maybe a little folded up menu or something like that, I would put that in there, and that would be ephemera, because from my understanding, ephemera are memory joggers, things that you've collected that are attached to a specific memory, and when you look at them, it brings back that memory. Whereas embellishments are what you can either put ephemera in, or you just use it to decorate a page or a card or a journal or something. So embellishments are to decorate something. Ephemera are about specific memories that you want to invoke and that you've brought back as souvenirs. Anyway, that's just my 2p on it. You know, maybe you've got different ideas. So basically, today we're going to make this. It is simple. It's extremely simple. It is suitable for beginners. I'm going to give you a lot of measurements, so make sure you've got a pen and paper handy. And yeah, we'll see how we get on. The most difficult thing really probably is the little box, but I'm not sure, you know, I mean, that would be my guess, and if that's the hardest thing, then this is a doddle. Okay, so let's get started. I just need to get my hole punch and I'll be right back. Right, here we go. So let's start by making the little tag, the tag pocket. That's this one. Let's push this over here. Make sure I am actually in frame. Yes, I seem to be. Right, okay, so to make this, what you're going to need, in its basic form, you don't need to cover it with papers. So you can see here that I've covered mine inside and out, actually. Let me open, so I tied it up and I need to open it up again. This is some of the beautiful ribbon that I got from Gertie Graham in a swap. So thank you, Gertie. Started using your things already. It's coming so handy. But yeah, so on this one, I've covered inside so that you can see it here. And I've covered the outside of the tag as well. The only bit I haven't covered is this bottom. And the reason is because it's going to get a lot of wear and tear, and the paper is likely to come away from the seams no matter what you do. So unless you can do this in one piece of paper, which I couldn't, then I would not bother covering this bottom bit unless you put a bit of ribbon or something on there that's, you know, just not going to come apart. Okay, the only thing with covering the entire thing with paper is it needs to be big enough to go all the way up, down the inside away on the back, all the way down, round and under. And obviously it will be, if you're using a directional paper, one side of it will be upside down. So I've used 2 pieces of paper. So, you know, it doesn't matter which, both of them are the right way up. Okay, so this is what we're going to start with. So the first thing you need, oh, so sorry, the point of me saying that was that actually you don't need to cover it at all. You could just leave it like this and then collage it when it's finished, or stamp on it before you assemble it completely. Or, I mean, it depends what base coat cardstock you use. Here I'm using this, it's actually not very good quality, you know, basic cardstock, and it's slightly different colour on the inside to the outside. I mean, you know, can have either side. It's not very good, I'm saying, because it splits, which is a nuisance, but it's what I had that goes with what I'm making, and you know, it's not going to show on the one that I'm doing, but just beware of that. Right, okay, so the first piece you want is a piece of cardstock, which is, let me get my ruler out and I'll measure it for you, but I think it is 8 1/4. Let me just double check, move some of this stuff out of the way. So yeah, this is 8 1/4 in length by 2 5/8. 2 and 4, 2 1/2 actually. This one is, it isn't 2 5/8, it's 2 1/2. You can this is where you can change it. You know, you could make it, I don't know, 3 1/2 if you wanted to. If you wanted to add tea bags to it, actual tea bags, you could make it say 3 1/4 or 3 1/2. something like that, but still keep the length the same. But it's up to you to fiddle about with the sizes as you go. Okay, so 8 and what did I say? 8 1/4. Yeah, 8 1/4 by 2 1/2. Okay, and then we're going to make 2 score lines down the center to create that gusset, and each score line is 4 inches in from one end. Make a score line, turn it round, 4 inches in again, make another score line. So this here is the 1/4 inch. So together these two make the 8 inches, and that's the 1/4, 8 1/4. Okay, and for the time being, that's pretty much it. So I'll come back to decorating it in a minute when we've done the inside pockets. All right, so let's put this out of the way. Now, the inside pockets, you may have made something similar to this when you were at school making decorations for Christmas. Depends on how old you are, I suppose. I'm a bit ancient myself, but anyway, they're very easy to make. I make them, I've made these out of dictionary pages. I have an absolutely magnificent old dictionary from about the 1950s, I think. Somebody asked my husband at the time if he had any use for it, and he said, sure, bring it home, give it to my wife. I'm sure she'll be able to do something with it. It's incredible. The only date I can find in it is 1957, and I think that's when it was published. But it is absolutely beautiful. And the reason it's beautiful, I'm digressing a bit here, but the reason it's beautiful is because it's not only a dictionary, but it's got all sorts of other things added to it. So, whoops, that's where it's collapsing, where I've taken pages out of the middle. But towards the back, I mean, it's got, these are some loose pages that I've cut out and just kept in there. It's got names, it's got things from characters and names in English literature. It's got the stars, it's got, you know, chemical formulas and tables. It's honestly space travel as recorded in the 1950s, of course. It's got alliances and treaties in war. It's got the world today. There's a beautiful reference section here that's abbreviations, etc. It's got maps, absolutely beautiful maps at the back. It's got everything you could imagine. It's even got mathematical tables in here, so that's, you know, loads of numbers and things like that, which is, I mean, look at that, that's gorgeous, isn't it? Past and present, sovereigns of England, all sorts of things. So yeah, I'm digressing, but this, I hope, is going to last me a lifetime of junk journaling and creating in general, because it is so thick, so beautiful, and yeah, it's one of my absolute treasured possessions. Anyway, so I digress. But so this is the thickness of paper that I've used inside this tag that I've made. However, in some of the other tags that I've made, I have used ordinary book pages. I was just trying to find some to show you, but I haven't got any to hand, actually. Is that some? No, that's more of these pages. So, yeah, I've used those. So they're really, really thin. So anything like that, or Bible pages, that sort of thing, will be absolutely perfect. But even so, I still wouldn't go more than 5 pages, because that gives you about the maximum that this gusset will hold and still be able to open fully. If you put any more in, you can cram them in, but it will get tighter and tighter like that, so you won't be able to get as much stuff in. But again, up to you, you choose. Right, so this is how I've gone about it. These pages I have taken out of that book and cut to size, and the size of these that fit this particular size of expanding tag are, I think it is 5, let me try, 6.5 maybe, let me try, yeah, 6.5 in length and 5.25 in width, and that will give us a little bit of the overlap that we need to make these. So as you can see, they're folded into the center, pretty much how you'd make an ordinary paper bag. Really, really simple, as I say, but yeah, I'll show you the whole process anyway. So basically what I do is let's move these out of the way for the moment. I'm going to take one side, I'm going to have it, the longest part is this way and the shorter part is this way, although there's not much in it. And I'm going to fold this over just a bit more than halfway. Make sure it's nice and neat, get it as neat and straight as you can. And then I'm going to fold this over so that it overlaps this bit here by about 1/4 inch. So that's going to go there. Again, try to get it as straight and neat as you can. Okay, and this piece here should measure the same as that, which is 2.5. Hold on, let me see what the finished length, finished width is, which should measure 2.25. Just, well, mine are just over 2.25, but thereabouts, there or thereabouts is fine. And then basically we just need to glue them down, and the way we do that is open up one flap, run, and this is temperamental glue today, I'm afraid, but let's see how it goes. You run the thinnest bead you can along here. You can actually do this with glue stick if you want to, and I then run the thinnest bead of glue I can along the outside edge of this bit that I have already folded over. Again, if you just run your glue stick down here, it eliminates having to do 2 lines of glue, but I just prefer this wet glue that I use, is Cosmic Shimmer. I just think it's really good at everything. So you then press that down, really reinforce it, but make sure that it remains a tube and doesn't stick itself to the back, which it does have a tendency to do, and that will take seconds to dry. Okay, so in total we're going to want 5 of these, so I'll just show you again on this one. So we're going to take the outside edge, the longest bit here, fold it a little bit further over than halfway. And I must admit, I'm absolutely spoiled here because I've got a line halfway down, but you know, you may not have. But you just do it by eye. It's not an exact science. Just try to get it as neat as you can. Then you fold this one over overlapping this one by about 1/4 inch is ideal. Make sure it's nice and neat. Really score those lines if you can, and again glue it down however you choose to glue it. So I'm doing a thin bead of glue down here and a thin bead of glue on the outside edge of this one, like this. I mean, really thin bead of glue. It's only got a hold of lightweight paper. Fold it over, stick it down well, really press it so that it really sticks down well, and ensure that you still have your little tunnel. Okay, if not, then you know, unstick it as soon as you can while the glue is still wet. Right, let's pop the pin in here. Okay, so now I fold mine with the overlapping stuck part on the outside. So I'm going to turn it over and I'm basically just going to fold it in half. Try to do that as neatly and as exactly as you can. It will show if it isn't, so just take some moments of time and be careful with it. Fold this down like this all the way along, like that, and then you have this with 2 pockets, one this side and one this side with your overlapped edges on the outside of both. And you do the same with all the other sheets. So there should be 5 pieces like this in total. Okay, so let's fold that down like that, again with that on the outside. And here's the ones that I did slightly earlier, just to, you know, not hold up the proceedings. Right, now we need to attach them together, and the way we do that is what I do anyway, is I put them all on top of each other exactly. And as I say, when you do this, one side of this is going to be upside down, the other side will be the right way up. It's just because it's book pages. But if you want to use a different paper, you want to use a non-directional paper, go right ahead, use whatever you've got. Okay, so I'm just going to fit these all together and make sure that they fit perfectly, that they are exactly lined up on the side like that, and exactly lined up on the bottom and the top. It's worth taking a few moments to do this, you know, to get it right. And then I am going to put paper clips on the side, slightly lower down than midway, I'd say, just to make sure that they stay there. And I'll probably put 2 on just because I can, you know, really guarantee that it will stay there. I mean, you can skip this part if you don't want to do it and you feel confident, but this is just showing, say, beginners how I do it. Right, now I'm going to push all of them up apart from the bottom one. Right, hold on, let's get my nail in there. So this is the bottom one, and I need that one in total. Nothing's going to touch the inside of it and nothing's going to touch the outside of it yet. But the inside of it, like this, so this is piece number 1, okay, that's folded in half. There's the fold. Let's move these down just a tiny bit because they will get in the way otherwise. There we go. And remember, these are just to hold it all in position. Right, so we go down to the first folded sheet, find the seam, and again we're going to run 2 very fine lines of glue, just somewhere up the middle, one here, one here. You don't have to be too particular about it, but that's all you need. Then you fold the next one, the next folded piece of paper, down on top of it and hold it there for a few moments while it sets. Then you should have the outside edge of this one, and you're going to do the same thing. You just simply run 2 lines of glue, very thin, down the middle, or roughly the middle, and fold the next one down on it. So you've got 2 sheets. That's the next complete piece. Hold it down for a moment or 2. Okay, and then you do the same with all the rest of them, all the way up till you get to the top. 1, 2, fold the 3rd one down. Make sure you are getting both of them, both pieces that form one pocket, one double pocket, like that. So don't forget, this is where my overlap is here, and I'm sticking it to the overlap of this one, which is there. Okay, right, then just either take the paper clips off or shove them up a bit further so that they're on the already stuck bit, and do the same on the bottom. As I say, it might seem a bit tedious, but it is worth taking the moments to do this so that you do have a proper exact finish, because it gives a sort of a professional look and makes it look nice and tidy, and you know, it's a better fit. You haven't got bits all sticking out all over the place. So you fold that one down, stick it, this one, the next one, There we go. I hope you're getting the gist of this, because like I say, it is the simplest thing you could possibly do. This one and this one. I'm getting a new iPhone today because I do all my filming on my iPhone, and hopefully I might be able to get the hang of it a little bit easier about how to do some editing. But we shall see. I don't know that it's strictly down to the phone. I think it's because I'm a bit of a technophobe, but there you go. Right, okay, so now we can remove these. And we'll set that aside to fully dry for a few minutes while we work on the cover of this. So we go back to this. This is the paper. This is the cardstock that you've scored at 4 inches from each end. And you're going to very, very gently and slowly, I suggest, fold this up. But I wouldn't go like flat over. I wouldn't push it right flat and score it or anything. It doesn't need it, and it will definitely crack the cardstock if you do that. So I'm just getting a gentle gusset. As long as the 2 top areas meet and the sides meet, that's all you want, and that you've got a flat base, that's all you need. Right, so this is sort of where the next slightly tricky bit comes in. Hold on one sec while I have a quick drink. Okay, so you need 4 pieces of paper if you're going to cover it from the start. And the first 2 pieces you need are for the outside, and they measure roughly, and I say roughly because I'll show you what I'm going to do with them. They measure roughly 3 1/4. They can be wider. They could be 3 1/2 if you want. In fact, that's not a bad shout, actually. So mine are 3 1/4 by 4 1/2, and you want 2 pieces of those. And what we're going to do with those is, as if you were going to make a book cover, we're going to cover this and this. The reason it's handy to do it like this, you could cut it in one piece if you've got a big enough piece, but what you would need is an 11-inch piece of paper in one go, because we're going to lap it over the ends and we're going to lap it round the sides. But the benefit of doing it this way is that it doesn't, you know, if it's directional, you can use it up that way on that one, and on this one you can turn this one round. You can use 2 different papers like I have, so that when you fold it up or unfolding it, both sides are the right way up. Right, so let's have a go with this. So we're going to take the first bit of paper, turn it over, and for this I am going to use the glue stick, simply because it's quicker. And let me get my little sticky bit of plastic. These are the thin food chopping boards that you can get in the supermarket. There's usually 3 or 4 in a pack for just over £1. You know, there's green for veg, red for meat, blue for fish, I think it is, and, you know, whatever the other colour is. And then I just cut them up. They're simple to cut up. Right, so now we're going to apply our glue right up to, but not over, this line here where you folded it. Okay, make sure you give it a really good coating of glue, especially towards the edges. You can use whatever glue you want. You can use glue tape if you want to, just put strips and strips of it on. You can use a wet glue, or you can do this. I mean, the fact that I'm using the same copy paper as I've used throughout, printed on copy paper, means that I can use the glue stick. It'll be fine. And then I'm going to line this up and try to keep this piece of card in the middle. So I'm going to do it carefully like that. So when I get to that stage, you can turn it over and see if you've got it roughly, you've got the same gaps either side, or very similar gaps anyway either side, and it should overlap the top as well. Okay, so I'm going to do that on there, press that down firmly, maybe go over it with your bone folder just to get a good seal on it, like that. There we go, so there's no air bubbles or wrinkles. I'm going to do the same with the other side. So I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to, sorry, get myself in a pickle here. Apply my glue stick all over it. Oh, don't forget, only up to that fold line. Don't go over it. Otherwise it will just start peeling off and, you know, you won't be happy with it. So this is on the outside of the tag. Put plenty of glue on, especially on the edges. And then, yuck, move that out of my way while I decide what way up I want this. So I want it to be, I think that's the right way up. So I'm going to have it like that. And I'm going to stick it roughly in the middle, as far in the middle as I can, and as close to that line as I can. Then before it dries, turn it over. See if you need to reposition it, which I mean, it's minutely out, but I can't be bothered to reposition it. It's absolutely fine. Okay, and then I am simply going to get my scissors and miter cut the corners. I'm not being too pedantic about it. I'm just chopping off the corners, no problem. Here and here, and then we're going to wrap it as if it was a book cover or something. Okay, so we'll get rid of those bits out of the way. Hold that down, and then I'm just going to apply some more glue stick along the edges. That's all sticky at the moment, so I'll use a little bit of old scruffy acetate. And I'm just going to glue these edges down. One, fold, make sure it's a tight fold. Push it across without tearing the paper, obviously. I mean, you could do this with napkin as well. That's what I was just thinking about it. That would make a nice, you know, if you had some nice napkin or something, like decoupage. Push that across to there. Push it down, just make sure it's nice and straight. Sometimes I go along it with my ruler to make sure that it's really adhered at the edges, like that. Fold the top down like this. I've found having a top on it to be quite important, actually. It gives them, you know, a much better finish, you know, if it's got a flap like this than if you cut it straight. Don't ask me why, but I've just, you know, found that. In fact, the longer the bit you fold over, sometimes some of mine I've ended up folding it over down to here, is, you know, is fine. In fact, it's just, you know, it's very good actually. Oops, the light's just gone. I hope you are okay with it. I'm sitting by the window on what was a sunny day, and clearly now isn't. I'm just hoping that the light stays in good enough for you to see what I'm doing. If not, I'll have to get up and put the light on. Right, okay, so we'll glue this side. Like that. And I'm going to glue the top. Like that. And then the pieces for covering the inside, I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to, but I just think it gives it a neater edge. So the pieces for gluing for the inside, I've cut to be almost the same size as the as the actual, you know, as the actual piece. This one here is a little bit wider than it needs to be, so let's take this out of the way, and this, and just have a quick look. So if I put this, it really needs to come up to the virtually the top up there to give a neat edge. It doesn't matter about down here, you definitely won't see that. And then to me it looks like it could do with coming in a little bit, so I'll give you a different measurement, but about there, which I'm going to fold up, and because it's such a small piece I'll probably tuck it under when I come to glue it, so I can't be bothered to cut it, or you know, could easily go wonky, so I'm just going to fold it under. It's such thin paper it doesn't make any difference. There we go, there and there. So this new size piece that I need for here, but you please do check and have it exactly how you want, is 2 3/8, and I've done it, what have I done it, 3 5/8, maybe 3.5, 3 5/8. Probably could have done with 3 3/4, but I just didn't have the width of the paper, so that's why mine's like that. And again, I am just going to put some glue stick on here. Let's see if this is suitable again. It is. It's not sticky anymore. And I'm just going to glue stick this all over. Any raw edges that pop up, I'll just put a little drop of the wet glue underneath, but this is good enough at the moment. Okay, and I am going to stick it down by turning it upside down and getting the top of this paper really neatly across the top of this, really quite up to the edge, you know what I mean, there, and lining it up just so it does the best, it looks the best it can really. And as I say, it doesn't matter if it's a bit short down here because you definitely won't see it. Anything beyond halfway you won't see. So let's turn it round and let's do the other bit. I want that to go up that way. Again, it's just a sliver. Where's my little ruler? It's the tiniest little bit because I cut these just a little bit big, I think. So I'm just going to run my fingernail along that edge, get it to tip up all the way along. And this one looks a bit raggy, so I'll cut it. I hope I'm still in frame, everybody. And if you have any questions about any of these things that I'm showing you, please do put them in the comments, and I will endeavour to answer them for you. There's no question that's, you know, not suitable sort of thing. Right, okay. Put that on there. Get this glued down. And I can just see an edge popping up on that other side, so I'll pop a little bit of the ordinary wet glue under it. Yeah, hold on, there we go. So yeah, I hope I'm sort of making it as clear as I can. It just takes a bit of practice, I think. Like I say, I had a bit of a break from doing the videos because, I don't know, I just had a bit of negative feedback that kind of knocked me a bit really. And I just thought, I don't know what the point is of doing this. They take quite a bit out of me and they take a lot of time to set up, and then people are not happy, so, you know, maybe it's not my while doing them, but I've started again on a positive note. Right, okay, so now you should have that or something that looks like it. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to this side, and What I normally do is I have a template, but I don't have it at the moment. Well, I have got it, it's just that it's under this huge pile of rubbish here somewhere. And the template is what I use. She says, can't even find this template now. Oh, there we are. We'll use this one. Is what I use for cutting the edges so that they're the same each side. Okay, and on the actual template, which I can't lay my hands on at the moment, it's just a piece of card like this. And what I've done is I've measured 3/4 of an inch down and 3/4 of an inch across and cut that corner, and done the same the other side so they match. And on the other end of it, I've measured 1/2 an inch down and 1/2 an inch across and cut that at a smaller angle. And then you never have to measure it again. You just use your template and use it to cut it out. So basically, I'm going to line this up like that. And I am just going to cut these corners off. So there's one. Put it across a little tiny bit to get it to match up the other side, because this template is wider than the thing I'm making, but that's not a problem. Then at least you know that your corners are level. And once you've got a template, you can use it for making tags anytime. And I'm going to do the same down here. This one happens to be 3/4 of an inch at both ends. That's why it's not my proper, you know, template. Because I've managed to get 2 different sizes on the other one. I can't find it at the moment. Knowing me, it's likely to turn up in the fridge or, you know, anywhere. Bit absent-minded. Creative, I call it. Creative. Absent-minded. Right, okay, so we can get rid of those. We don't need those. And what we need to do now, so now you have a nice matching tag that matches perfectly each end. Okay, because they're all cut with the same template. And now we need to just make a hole in it if you want to. If you don't want to have a hole in the end, in order to thread a ribbon through, like this one, you don't have to, because the pocket will hold it shut, and you could just put a bow there or a button or whatever you want to do, really. It doesn't make any difference. Right, let's move some of this junk. Honestly, I'm so chaotic at times. Let's put a lid on this. Pop that back in there. Right, now we can see. Now I'm just going to do it by eye. If there's one saying I cannot stand, it's eyeball it. I hate that. So I always say I'm going to do it by eye. So yeah, I'm going to make a hole roughly in the middle, about 1/4 inch, maybe just a bit more than 1/4 of an inch down there. So I do it into a rubber. I've got a piece of styrofoam that I usually use, but it's up in the cupboard and can't be asked. It's the truth. Right, make that a big hole. Put these 2 sides together, and you can mark perfectly where to make the hole on the other side of the tag so they both line up. So that's there. Make this hole nice and big. Okay. And then you can either, you know, when the paper's dry, you can either cut it out or leave it at that size if you want to. Right, so the last thing remains is for us to attach the accordion pockets inside. Now what you need to do is, because they're all, well, some of them are not joined, clever me. I think what I did was I joined the outside edges and I didn't join these inside edges. So if yours comes right apart, which it shouldn't do, it's because I've forgotten to tell you to do the inside edges as well. Yeah, I've done it with all of them. So you have to stick outside and this inside bit as well on all of them. Oops. That one I've done for some reason. I haven't done the others. Oh, no, I haven't. There it is. This one has stuck to itself. See what I mean about the glue? What a nuisance. There we go. Right. So yeah, right, let's go back to this. So I told you where to stick these pieces together all the way down, but I forgot that you've got to stick this inside bit together as well. But that's easily remedied. Piece of glue from the bottom to the top. See, if I knew how to edit, I'd get rid of that. I'd edit that bit out, but I don't. So you have to see it warts and all. Right, and what you should have, you will end up with, is an accordion piece. This one's not dry, so I'm reluctant to pull it apart. And it's beginning to stick inside to itself. There we go. You should end up with an accordion piece that's kind of stuck to itself all the way down. Don't know if you remember you doing these into like a ball, doing loads of them together at school, making a Christmas ornament. Right, so let's stick this down. You just need thin lines of glue. Stick it together. Open it up again wherever it's not stuck, which I believe is now this one. No, I did get round to doing that one. It's just a fiddle, you know what I mean? It's not difficult, it's just fiddly. Make sure you put your... Oh, I'm so pleased I'm showing you like this, because at least you'll see all the warts and all the, you know, the things that can go wrong with it. This one has stuck to itself, so it needs prising apart. Well done. Well done. Let me put my... Oh, I've actually got a bad shoulder at the moment. I don't know what I've done with it. Must have laid on it something. Right, I'm going to put my ruler in each of them. So there's the first one. That's the second one. That's fine. It's not stuck to anything. That's the third one. It's this awkward little devil here. And it's stuck itself. Let's check that all the others are okay. Yeah, that one's okay. What about this one? That's stuck itself, and I still need to stick it to this. And I'll go back and fiddle about with that other one. Although it's probably dry, I might end up having to cut it, but oh well guys, at least you can see what goes wrong with these things. I'd rather I fail at it than you. Right, where is it? Come on out, you sneaky devil. There you are. Right. Yeah, it's stuck itself all the way down. Wonderful. Let me see if I can peel it apart. Thank you so much for being a darling. Honestly, thank you so much. Nope, it's not going to have it. Okay, well, you'll just have to imagine that that one's open. I've accidentally stuck it together, and I can't do anything about it without it ripping. I will fix it after I finish the project. Don't worry. But it'll take too much time for me to fix now. Basically, what I need to do is cut it apart with my knife and put a new piece of paper in there to strengthen it. So that's what I will do. But anyway, they should all be open like this, apart from that little devil. Okay, all the others are open. Make sure that one's open. Hence the importance of checking them before, you know, before they all stick down. There we go. And then basically the way you attach it is to do exactly the same thing here. So I'm going to stick 2 little pieces of glue, little bits of glue, one up here, one up here. I'm going to push this up as close as I can to the fold. In fact, hold the fold up to help you, like that. I'm going to line it up so it doesn't hang over the sides, which is fine, and then press it down. And then on this side I'm going to do exactly the same. So I'm going to put 2 little bits of glue there and there, then fold the tag over it, lining it up as best you can. Use that hole to line it up if you want to, like put a pin in it or something to hold it there, like that, and then press it all the way down, holding it there. And then just set that aside to dry for a bit while we do the base. Let me put a peg on it, or a couple of pegs on it. Okay, so like I say, if I could edit it, I would edit that bit out, but basically all those pockets should open. I don't know what I did there. I just didn't catch it in time. But that's how you will tie it together. Now you can either make the hole bigger with your pokey tool. You can, if you've got one of these single punch things, which I also can't lay my hands on at the moment, you can punch a hole in it. You can do, oh, here it is. One of these is really handy actually. You just punch a single hole and put some thread, some ribbon through, or don't bother at all and just have it like this because the pocket will hold it shut. Right, so while that's drying, we will quickly get on to making the pocket. And this is the only very slightly difficult part, or challenging part, she says, after having messed that up a bit. Let me get a drink. I debated whether to do this in 2 parts or not, whether to make the tag and then make the pocket separately, just because of the time constraint. But to be honest with you, you wouldn't use the pocket separately, only for the tag. You wouldn't want something that's got a gap in it like that, unless you was putting something that was quite thick in it like that. Right, so to make the pocket, you need a piece of the same fairly sturdy cardstock, and that needs to be, let me double check, that needs to be 6 3/4 for this size tag, 6 3/4 by 3 1/4. Okay, so now you need to measure down 3 1/8 inch. Is that 3 1/8 or 3 1/4? 3 1/4. Yeah, 3 1/4, and score a line right the way across, and then turn it round, measure 3 1/4 again, and score another line. So this line here is, this here is the 1/4 of an inch, which is exactly the same as that one was. Okay, and then on the outer 2 edges all the way down, you need to score a line at 1/4 of an inch. So 1/4 of an inch in, score a line, turn it round, 1/4 of an inch in, score a line. So you should end up with 1/4 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, 3 1/4, 1/4 of an inch, 3 1/4. Yeah. Right, so what we're going to do now is very carefully, we are going to, where you've got these lines that intersect here, we're going to cut from the outside along the scored line until you get to this scored line, till it meets this scored line. You know, if it goes minutely over, don't worry about it, that's fine. Just, you'll find it's difficult if you go under that line. I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to snip from the outside edge down there like that, which I've clearly already done, otherwise I would have noticed it. And I'm going to do the same on this side. Cut all the way down there to there. So it's handy that that's happened actually, because now I'm going to do the tiniest mitre on this long piece here. I'm going to give this the tiniest mitre that you could imagine, like a millimetre, you know, a 1/16 of an inch, if that, and cut that out like that. So it's really tiny, this gap. And I'm going to do the same the other side. So I'm going to cut down it till I get to the where the score line is, cut down it to the score line, which is there, and then on this long piece here I am going to cut out a tiny little mitre, and the same with the other one. Don't touch the middle bit, right? Don't touch this bit. This bit's fine on this. Let me just tidy this up a bit. See, it's looking a little bit of a mess. Right, let's get rid of the bits. Now again, it's up to you. You can either decorate it now, or you can decoupage it later. I'm going to decorate it now simply because it's, you know, easier for me anyway, and it covers that line across the middle. The other one I decorated it afterwards, and it's got a bare bum, it's got a bare bottom, again, which doesn't matter to me, but you know, it might matter to you. So the piece of paper that you need to cover it with, if you're going to cover the whole thing in one go, is the width of, the length of a standard A4 sheet of paper. And here in England, that is 11 inches. Okay, it doesn't matter if your printer has printed it with a border, because you won't see it anyway, so it's still 11 inches even if it's got a bit of a white border at each end. Don't worry about that. And it is 11 inches by 3.5 inches, because we want to sort of cover this all over. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this down here like this. You will see that there is a long fold over, and that means that I don't need to cover the inside, because this is enough that you won't see the inside. You see on this one here, you can't really see down further than where I've folded it under. Yeah, like that. Okay, so that is the first job. I'm going to stick this entire piece of card to this, and I'm going to fold over the flaps and stick them. Right, so let's turn this over. I'm going to use my glue stick again. Oops, you dropped that on the floor. Where's my little bit of acetate that I was using? I always save these from packaging, and if they're not suitable to be used, looks like that's the end of that one. If they're not suitable to be used as windows, then I will use them as glue bases. I'm just going to glue all over it, the whole lot. Turn it round, because they can be washed off, and this is all water-based glue. So you can just wipe them down until they get too raggedy and old, and you can't get any more use out of them, and then you can chuck them. Right, there we go. That's that. Hasn't got any on there. It does rapidly sink in, the glue stick, I must admit. Right, let's move this out of the way, and I am going to stick this down, leaving a decent border at each end, like that, and sort of stick it down in the middle like that. Okay, give it a go over with my bone folder, just to ensure that it sticks and there's no bubbles, like that, like that. I'm going to, while I've still got it flat like this, I'm going to snip out these same, I'm going to follow this direction and snip these same bits out here. 1 and 2, 1 and 2. I don't know how the weather is with everybody else, but this is an amazing sunny, warm day. I went out with a t-shirt today after the absolute monsoon weather we've been having over the last week. Honestly, you never can tell in England. It's the truth, you know. When they say prepare for anything, they're not joking. Right, okay, so now I'm going to stick these ends down. Here, I've got to get out another glue stick or revert to using my ordinary glue, which I might do. They haven't lasted very long. I've been a bit disappointed with the glue sticks actually. It's the first time I've really gotten to use them. Normally I use the wet glue for everything and just use glue sticks for decoupaging napkins, but this time I thought, well, you know, glue is expensive, so I will try to use it. But honestly, they don't really last very long, and I have to say, I don't think they stick as well either, but maybe that's just me, I don't know. A lot of people swear by them, I know. I've got the Scotch one, I've got the Pritt one, and both of them dried up on me. So I've heard that you can actually put them in some hot water to revive them. I'll try that. I didn't leave the tops off or anything, they just, I don't know, they just seem to dry up on me. So I've not been over impressed, but you tell me what you think. Oops. Right, so I'm going to get rid of any bubbles like that. Okay. See if I've got another glue stick. Yeah, I have. I bought them in a pack. I think it was 6, and wasn't that long ago actually. I think I've got about 2 left. Anyway, we shall soldier on. And these ones are the box glue stick that I got on Amazon, because the reviews were that it sticks better than most. So, and they're the 15-gram size. I'd like to have got the, I don't know if it's 20 or 40 gram, but I didn't. There's your answer. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to trim off these edges. The reason I left an overlap in the first place is because if you don't get that perfectly straight, it's going to come off the side if you're not careful, and you're going to have a hell of a struggle. So I always have a bit extra and then trim it up afterwards. So let me just see where it needs to start trimming, which is here. See, there's only a tiny little bit that's got to come off here. But without it, you know, I could easily have gone over the edge. So it's kind of precautionary, really. Right, let's find out where that's got to come off there. Got to follow that line. Hope you can see what I'm doing, guys, and you're not gone to sleep yet. Get a strong cup of coffee when you come and watch my videos. Get rid of these bits, and this one here. I mean, if you've got a really good eye, then you know you're going to stick this down straight. You can dispense with this part of it. The reason also that I do it is because I need that overlap. Without that overlap, you will be able to see inside, and I just personally, I don't like that look. So right, and while it's still a bit damp, I'm just going to very gently push it into position how I want it to be. And it's best to do it while it's a little bit damp, not wet or anything, you know what I mean, but just a little bit damp. Sorry about the light again, guys. It seems to have gone again, but I'm hoping this will be okay. So make sure this lines up. Do any extra trimming that you need to do, which I can see I need to do here. Obviously, I didn't catch that bit. There we go. Get rid of that. Make a space here. Right. So that is nice and level now. Now at this point, if you want to do any inking, like I have on this one, do it now. I mean, I'm not going to on this one. I don't think it needs it. But if you do want to do it, then get it done now, yeah? Also, you want to get your semicircles cut out of this in a minute as well. But first of all, I'm just going to go over these folds while I still can see them. Very gently manipulate them. These are the sides of the box. They don't have to be folded flat because they're never going to be flat. But you do need to get them moving before it sort of dries and becomes a bit too hard to manipulate because they're quite thin, quite narrow. So yeah, there. Okay, about there. The same with these little bits. They need pushing in as well. That needs pushing in as well. Try to make sure that it's all level. This is in a straight line. It's fairly important, so you know you don't want it to end up all sort of wonky and won't fit together. So just take your time with it like this. Okay, like that. And this last one, like that. And you don't need to bone fold these because you don't want them to go flat. You want them to kind of go at a 90-degree angle. They've got to have, you've got to manipulate them a bit, but you know, you haven't got to totally glue them into submission. Right, now this will fold up like this. These flaps go inside in order to, so you can't see the gap there. So push these flaps inside. This goes up like this and you just overlap and stick it down. So you go in there, that folds up to there. And my tip is get one side done before you do the other. Right, that needs a little trim there because it's sticking out. I mean, you don't have to, but as I say, I'm quite picky. I like to make sure it's all gone down fine and it all looks nice. You've got one probably better side than the other. This one here needs a bit more glue in it, so I'm going to put wet glue in just to hold it down. It's just the what's name glue wasn't enough. Wasn't anything by the look of it. There we go. So I'm going to hold that down, which has reminded me, it's given me the opportunity to remind myself that we need to punch the circles at the top. Okay, put some more glue on there, touch up. That's what I say about the, you know, the stick glue. It's a bit hit and miss, I find anyway. Same with this bit here, especially along the edges. A bit much. But I guess you get the idea, you just faff around with it. I mean, it's probably better, don't know, probably better, I suppose, if you did the whole thing with the wet glue, but if you happen to like using the stick glue. This is the trouble when you've got shaky hand syndrome. You can't do these little finer bits, which is a real nuisance. But there you go. Right, let's pop the lid on that. I hope you're able to follow these videos. I feel so bad about not being able to edit them, but like I say, there's not a lot I can do actually. Right, I am actually going to measure this, but you don't need to. You can do it by eye. And I'm using my 1.5 inch punch. You can use whatever you've got. So this top one is 2 3/4, which makes that 1 3/8. 1, 2, 3 3/8. That's there. That's the centre. Put them together exactly, and you will find the 1 3/8 centre there, which is just there. Right, so now this is really tough because it's new, so you have to give me a bit of a chance with this one. I'm going to do this side first because it's clearer, and I'm just going to clip out a little bit. I'm not clipping out a whole lot, but I'm going to try and centre it up the best I can. Oh, goodness me, it's so tough. There we go. There's one. Good cutter though. Make sure it lines up. Centre it up with the other one, which is about there. Oh. Wow, you've got to be strong. Okay, so that's that, and now it just remains to be put your best edges overlapping and stick it down, and use a ruler or something, whatever you've got, to keep it square until it's dried. So I'm going to put a load of glue on there. Sorry about my hands shaking all over the place. It's a neurological thing apparently. Oh, come on, come on, come on. There we go. There we go, all the way down. I would put a generous amount of glue on here. Overlap that. Hold it down for a few seconds until it sticks. At this point, I tend to put like my ruler or something inside and really try and push it down from the inside. And then afterwards, obviously you can decorate these, both the outside of the tag thingy and the outside of this box, in a way which pleases you. This is, I've worked it out, this is just about thin enough to go on a journal page. Any thicker than this and it will make the journal page stick out too far. I mean, it's doable, but not preferable. So you see how that little tabby bit that we left on fills that gap where it's been mitered? And you don't have to stick it or anything. It just pops in there and fills that gap, which is really handy. With a lot more cutting and working out, you can trim off these bits of this inside before you stick it down, but again, for me, it's just too much ag. Might as well just stick it down and stick it in. It's not a big issue. But if you wanted to be really pedantic about it, you could do that. Right, let's pop that down on its side, and again use the ruler to force it into shape all the way down. Apply your pressure. I think that came undone a bit. It did. Push that over. Sorry, went out of shot a bit there, I think. So I have to stick it right close to my nose to be able to see it. And I've got my glasses on. Blind old bat. Right, okay, that should be it. What will help is when you come to put your tag pack in, because then you can squeeze the whole thing together, so that will fit in there quite nicely like that, and it will help to make the square edges squarer and keep the bottom nice and straight. And then you can, you know, put a rubber band around it or something to hold it until it's completely dry. I don't think I need to bother. It's like that. And then all you need then is a piece of ribbon to go in here, tie the thing together, and there you have your tag pocket, your expanding tag in its own pocket. Okay, I'm sorry about the mistake in the middle, but hopefully you'll be able to work with that and realise what I just didn't get it before it stuck itself down. And yeah, I look forward to you being able to make these yourself. So yeah, I probably made it seem much more difficult than it is. It is actually a very, very simple project and very useful. Just, you know, with any papers, anything, it looks lovely inside a journal or on the front cover. Okay, thanks for watching. Take care. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.